Welcome back to the Division 2. In this video I want to help some of you because I understand it takes a long time to get a build together. I'm still working on mine, but it's pretty much within my personal sort of opinion, it's pretty much fully optimized. There are things I can do to make it even better, but going for pieces that are going to do that is going to take probably hundreds of hours just for one or two pieces, because RNG is still a big factor in this game. But what I'm going to do in this video is try my very best to help you understand the mechanics behind building now, and hopefully help you put some builds together. There will be a video coming for my build in the very near future, and I'm also going to be doing other guides and stuff, so make sure you stick around on the channel. So what we're going to do is jump into the base of operations. We're going to go around to my stat library, and we're going to have a look. Most of the attributes and stuff are near max if they're not max. So core attributes, I've got 2 out of 3 for masks. And you get different stats on weapons and gear. You are still only able to recalibrate one piece at a time, on one piece of gear. So if you want in weapon damage on a chest, then after you've recalibrated that, you can't change any of the other stats. Although you can continuously change the stat that you've already changed on the chest if you want to switch it from, say, weapon damage to armor. It just has to stay within core attributes, and talents. But these stats you save in your library can be used as many times as you want. They are literally there forever. So the very first thing you are going to want to do to make a build is decide which way you want to play the game. There are currently 3 different sort of classes that you can put together, 3 different build types. And I can't really think, there are kind of subcategories, but then there are 3 main categories. You can either go DPS, survivability, or you can go utility. So within DPS, you would have crit chance and crit damage, or you would have headshot damage if you want to go like that, although I wouldn't recommend it, you don't really need to. In survivability, you can have tank for yourself, you can have extra bonuses of armor and stuff for your team, so you can have solo or group survivability. And then in utility, the skill builds, you can either have an offensive or a defensive, you can have a healing build, you can have a support skill build, so spotter and stuff, using the pulse. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is pick your core attribute. My personal playstyle is to go for DPS at the moment. I've tried survivability, and even with 1.6 million armor, I still get shredded. So the armor isn't too important because I've tested it with ranges between 600,000 and 1.6 million, and it doesn't seem to make that much of a difference. So what I've done is gone for straight DPS with crit chance and crit damage. So in my core attributes, we'll use the mask just because I'm already on that. And we're going to go into the internals. So the core attributes, I would go with weapon damage because I'm not looking for survivability on the build. And therefore, all 6 of the pieces of gear, which would be your mask, your gloves, your body armor, your holsters, your backpacks, and your knee pads, would need to have weapon damage. So go out, farm some gear. Hopefully the RNG gods are amongst you and you get some high weapon damage rolls. And just remember that if you have 11% in your library, 15% is the cap at level 40. If you have 11% in your library and you re-roll that, you recalibrate it onto a piece of gear, if you then go out on your next run and find 15%, you can put that in your library and you can recalibrate again. So your 11% will go to 15, but because you've recalibrated multiple times, that same stat is going to be more expensive, more credits, more materials. So weapon damage is what you would be focusing on for core attributes. Then you need to look at the separate attributes, and if you're wanting to go with weapon handling, if you're running an LMG and you think it recoils a little bit too much, you would then go and try and get all 6 pieces of your gear with weapon handling. If you want crit chance and crit damage, try and get those. If you want to go for a headshot damage build, you would try and get headshot damage. Do not forget about your mods. They come in incredibly helpful, especially if you find a piece of gear with a defensive mod. You can get things like 17k armor on kill. And I know it's not a lot, but it's definitely going to help. If you've got 3 pieces, that's around 50k armor per kill. If you've got 600k armor on your build, 12 kills and you've got all of your armor back from empty. So you've got your core attributes, you've got your basic standard attributes, and then you need to go for different talents. Talents are now only available on chests and backpacks, so you want to look through those. You can actually see all of the talents before you've ever found one. So going into the talents, you have things like, if we go with Unbreakable, if you're going for survivability, when your armor is depleted, repair 95% of your armor. It has a 1 minute cooldown. If you are running a DPS build but you're still using the turret, damaging enemies with a skill increases total weapon damage by 15% for 15 seconds, that's with Spark. And those are just literally a couple. You can get Glass Cannon, all damage you deal is amplified by 25%, but the damage you take is amplified by 50%. So there are different talents you can have on your chest, and then the same with backpacks. You can get yourself some talents on here as well, like Tech Support. Skill kills increase total skill damage by 25% for 20 seconds. So get your core attributes, get your attributes, and get your talents. Taking a look at the backpack I'm currently running, it's Seska brand set, so I get 10% crit hit chance. I've got God rolled 15% weapon damage, 11% crit damage. I've got some extra health in there. Then I've got 17.3k armor on kill. And my talent is Vigilance, so it increases my total weapon damage by 25%, although when I take damage it disables the buff for 4 seconds. That's not as good as I would like it to be, but it's something that is decent and it's going to give me extra health. I get armor back on kill, but it gives me extra crit damage and weapon damage at the same time, with crit chance from the brand set. Looking at my gloves, these are Grupo Sombra, 15% crit damage, then you've got the God rolled weapon damage, headshot damage, and crit damage on there as well. So that piece actually gives me 26.6% critical hit damage. Then after you have sorted out your gear, and it's going to take you hours and hours, ever since Warlords released, or roughly around a week ago or something, I have played around 105 hours. And my build isn't fully optimized, and that's one build. I have messed around with a few others, but they don't seem to be as good for me personally and my playstyle. But then this one, this build alone, I've put a good 40-50 hours into grinding for. So it's going to take a long time, but it gives you a challenge and it gives you an objective, something to work towards when playing this game. And I understand for a lot of players, like, a challenge isn't necessarily fun. But I would personally rather do that than be able to breeze through all the missions like we could before Warlords released. But after you've got your gear together, you need to focus on your weapon. I'm running the P416, and I also run LMGs. So it's the same again, core attributes, and talents. You can, again, get 15% assault rifle damage as a God roll stat. You can get health damage on there as well. Your attributes, you can get damage to armor, crit chance, damage to targets out of cover. Then with the talents, you need to pick something that's going to help you. With my P416, I'm a lazy gamer. I don't want to sit there controlling recoil whilst I'm trying to plow these pretty much bullet sponge enemies. So the talent, if I can find it, the one that I've gone for, I was lucky enough to get it to drop with this. Nearsighted, I get 80% stability at the cost of 35% optimal range. So my gun is a lot more stable. So you need to figure out what you actually want from your build. Do you want to be running a DPS, like a damage build? Do you want a tank build? Or do you want skill? Once you've figured out how you want to play the game, don't do what I do. Don't sit there and try and work on 6 different builds at the same time. Focus on one. Once you have that one build that is able to run through missions, I can now solo heroic missions if I play it smart. But once you have that one build that is able to take on the difficulty you want it to take on and the activities in the game, whether it's missions, strongholds, or open world stuff, then once you have that build, then start working on another one that you might want to try. So I've got my DPS build. Now, because it's going to take hours to try and find the perfect piece, if I wanted to switch it up and work on a survivability build, I could then go and do that because I can survive and complete missions and stuff with my current build. Do not forget the mods on your gear pieces, as well as the mods like attachments on your weapons. And just literally, as I said, focus on getting your gear pieces. So select your main core attribute, then attributes and talents for both gear and weapons, and take it from there. That is going to do it for the video though. I want you to let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments. Get discussions going. Talk about all the different builds you've seen and all the different builds you're running. Mine, as I will be showing you very soon, is a crit chance, crit damage, weapon damage sort of DPS build. I'm hitting for around 8 to 12 million DPS from firing one magazine with my P416, and then I either run the Black Market M60 or I run the Pestilence as my secondary, because I've actually got the brand sets sorted on this build to be able to run both assault rifles and LMGs. If I really wanted to, I could also run a rifle. The classic M1A is my go-to. Absolutely love that gun. But I'm not going to carry on any longer. There will be other tips and stuff on the channel with guides and stuff to hopefully help you out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you very soon with more Division 2 content. Thank you for watching.